As I'm sure most of my audience is aware, the Count Dankula verdict came in earlier this week, and I for one am thrilled that after a long-fought battle, justice has finally prevailed. For far too long, this Nazi-mocking, Jew-loving communist has been allowed to spread his hate speech with impunity. No more though, you're off to the camps, and I hope you think about, or concentrate, on what you've done. Nazi jokes? Not in my Reich, you won't. I grant that this is likely a difficult subject for many people to broach, but I think it would be useful if we explored some of the lessons that can be derived from this court case. Lesson 1. Scotland thinks Nazis are cute. The intent of Count Dankula's initial video was to turn his girlfriend's adorable pug into the least adorable thing he could think of. Well, joke's on you, buddy. Nazis are fucking adorable. Not only that, Nazis are cute is now the official position of the UK legal system. Now clearly this has always been the case, but I'm glad we've finally gotten legal recognition and set a precedent. Sorry, hate criminal. Buddha's adorable. Nazi trap waifus are adorable. I'm adorable. Get used to it. Lesson 2. Scotland does not want you to trust the Jew. Hopefully you weren't doing that anyway, but if you were, the Scottish police have your back because they're really trying to drive this point home. It's purportedly the case that law enforcement encouraged the Scottish Council of Jews to press charges against Count Dankula. Now, anyone with 2 brain cells to rub together would be able to tell you that if you go after a comedian for telling a joke, you're going to elicit a huge public backlash. Did the Scottish police encourage the Scottish Council of Jews to press charges against Count Dankula specifically to make Jews look bad? Well, since intent and context don't matter, I'm going to decide that yes, that is what they did. Speaking of which, Lesson 3. Intent and context don't matter. Or, more specifically, the court decides what intent and context are. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, that's a terrifying legal precedent to set because it essentially means that courts have unlimited power and, with enough finagling, can take any of your rights away at a whim. If you are thinking that, you should probably keep that to yourself. I trust lawyers and politicians 2 generations removed from me to correctly interpret my humor, and so do you. Or else. Lesson 4. Scotland is the safest place on Earth. Consider the amount of time, money, and resources that have been spent over the last 2 years on this trial for a non-violent offense. Wouldn't those police and legal resources be better used on basically any other crime than this? Obviously not, idiot, or else they would have, which leads me to believe that Scotland is virtually crime-free. They're also exceedingly wealthy. 2 years of lawyers and investigators don't come cheap, but I'm sure the Scottish people are glad their tax dollars are going to something useful, like restricting their freedoms. With no embellishment or exaggeration, this court verdict is an absolute abortion of justice. I interpreted the numerous delays that this trial underwent as an indication that the prosecution didn't have a strong case, and that they were attempting to drag this out as long as possible in order to cause Marcus enough strife that he would eventually agree to some sort of plea deal. In the back of my mind, I knew a guilty verdict was always a possibility, but I honestly did not expect it to happen. Obviously, I'm angry and saddened by the prospect of my friend spending upwards of a year in jail, and the blow to free speech that this has undeniably been, but the implications go further than that. Context matters, and the idea of a court unilaterally deciding what intent and context are is a horrifying precedent. Context, for example, describes the difference between murder, manslaughter, and justifiable self-defense. The intent and context of a case are objective facts. They are for the court to investigate, but not to merely decide and impose. No one in their right mind believes that Dankula was attempting to incite violence. Dankula went through and continues to go through this hell to be made an example of for political gain. Do not be quiet or complacent at the hands of this abuse. Because if the powers that be can go after Dankula for an anti-Nazi joke, they can go after you, they can go after me, they can go after anyone. If you value free speech, or liberty of any stripe, fight for it. Who knows how much longer you get to enjoy it.